Hi, I'm Rachel Abbasi. Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. As always, thanks for spending time with me. Friday. Today, I want to talk about free will. I'm not even quite sure where I'm going to go with this, but I keep hearing that, we're given free will and how we have this freedom, but there's something that just has been, I don't know, stuck in my craw, as my old college roommate used to say, um, about how we're given this free will, but it, it it's a responsibility, really, more than it is just freedom. It's called free will, and it um, implies freedom. But I was thinking about how all of us use this free will so differently. Um, so it's a gift, and we're given it, but what do we do with it? We're not quite, we grow up with teachers teaching us how to make good decisions. But as we get older, we don't really have teachers per se for those big life decisions. Um, and then there's that moment to moment responses using our free will. And that's when I was just starting to feel like, as I was thinking about this, I was starting to feel like this is a responsibility. What is the saying, like, with something or other comes great responsibility? I can't remember what it is. I should have asked Chatty before before I started recording, but um that's what I'm thinking of. It's so often we go through these different circumstances in our life and feel like we have no choice. Like, well, I had no choice. This is what I had to do. And really, that thought that I had no choice, I think, means that I reacted automatically. I either followed, I reacted according to a habit that I have, a fear that I have, or an impulse. So that illusion that I had no choice can be addressed through, that's right, the pause, um, between that impulse and whatever action I take. I don't know. There's always a choice. There's always a choice. Um, and I think free will can feel like control. It can feel like I have more control than I really do. Because it's freedom. I have the freedom to do whatever I want. Um, but with that freedom comes responsibility. Is that what the saying is? I don't know. But free will is not being able to control outcomes. Free will lives in, I believe, the thoughts that I have, the words that I speak, and ultimately the actions that I take. But that free will is only, the control still is only within my fingertips, as what I was talking about yesterday. I still can't control anything outside of my fingertips. So the battle of free will is really between the impulse or reaction and the response. Um, Reactions that make me feel like I had no choice are the automatic, they're typically emotional reactions. And I've been conditioned to behave that way. Whether it's from the people around me or whatever, the environment that I grew up in has conditioned me to react a certain way when faced with certain situations. And free will also lives in that pause between the reaction and the response. That free will is the pause, really. I mean, it's all of it, yeah, but free will is also the fact that I can make a choice to not react. That all of that conditioning that I've been through in my life doesn't mean that I have to react that way. I don't have to follow the habit or the fear or the impulse. I can be more thoughtful about what I do. I can be more intentional about what I do, how I behave. I can choose. So free will is exercised in that pause. Um, Free will, when we don't practice the pause, it it feels like, I guess it feels limiting a bit. I mean, I know it's freedom, but when I look at it as a responsibility, then I'm the battle between the freedom to do whatever I want and things like addiction. Um, and it starts in our thinking patterns, like that conditioning. It seems to narrow our free will choices. And I think that's why I can feel like I have no choice. This is what I have to do. But that awareness, having awareness that this free will and the conditioning exists as that I have a responsibility. It's almost like blaming the world for how I'm responding, you know? So having that awareness expands my options and allows me to pause and respond instead of react. Um, in early recovery, I felt as though, and I'm talking about sobriety, in early sobriety, I felt like I had no control, that I did not have a choice. Um, and my sobriety program rebuilt that ability to choose that I was gifted. Um, but the program, so it took away that compulsion really and gave me the ability to choose, um, to either choose alcohol or choose the tools that I was given in my program that strengthen responsible free will, right? I think that's what I'm talking about here. I have to write that down. Live action, responsible free will. See how I'm learning as I talk this through. So The tools that I was given in the program that I still practice and have been able to use in stroke recovery is the pause that I've already brought up, choosing connection instead of isolation, and in that way, being able to ask for help, knowing that free will also um, insinuates for me that a it's a job that only I can do by myself. Like free will means to me, because I'm only talking about my free will, so I'm choosing what I think is that I think I want to do, that I think I need to do, but responsible free will pulls in other people. Instead of feeling like I have no choice, I gotta write that down too. This is, this is very profound thinking we're doing this morning. Let's see. I have no choice. Okay. That's probably going to be the title of the episode. So, anyway, uh, feeling like I have no choice. What if I invite somebody in to that choice and add some help from other people? That is responsible free will, I think. What I can't control is people, places, and things. I can't control outcomes. I can't control circumstances, but I can choose how I show up and how I respond. And the freedom in the free will comes from knowing the difference between the two. Free will versus control. Um, so I've mentioned that before I go to bed every night, I get down on my knees and I thank God for my sobriety, for my for not smoking, for the willingness to recover. That's a choice. That's my free will. And I thank God for my body because I think it's important for me to have gratitude for all that my body can still do after my stroke. Um, and then after that, I say, Thy will be done. Um, and I think that this is interesting. Like when I say, Thy will be done, that does not mean that I'm handing over my free will. What I feel like I'm doing when I say thy will be done is that it's acknowledging that I don't have control over where life takes me, but I do have control over whether I let go of things that don't add value in my life, whether I trust something outside of myself and stop feeling that self-reliance that I was talking about this week, and that I can act with intention when I'm facing the circumstances that I am. That's what thy will be done, not mine is that um, I want thy will to guide me, thy will to guide my free will. And that's just the thoughtfulness that I bring forward to my choices. Um, so some examples of using responsible free will is to pause instead of react, is to, like I was talking about earlier this week, to listen instead of interrupt people. That's been a big topic for me this week. Um, just politically speaking, I was just thinking of it on that level this week. Like, I think it's because I listened to the news and like these people, depending on what side they're on, are like interrupting each other. And I'm like, that doesn't seem okay. To like, that's not what debate is about, really. So I don't want to go down that road so much, but that's what free will is. Responsible free will is to listen instead of interrupt. Choosing honesty instead of avoidance, like getting honest with myself and what I what I can and can't do instead of avoiding facing the fact that I'm gonna have these symptoms if I do that. Like, be honest and aware about my disability and stop trying to avoid facing reality. That's still responsible free will. So, and then choosing connection over isolation, that's free will. I don't have to connect with people. I am choosing this because I am choosing full-time recovery. And I'm choosing to invite others into my life and my choices. That's responsible free will for me. I'm so happy I did this topic today. Um, so the cost of not using responsible free will, not pausing, listening, being honest, being connected is, I think, pretty obvious, at least for me. I'm going to repeat the same patterns. I'm going to feel restless, irritable, and discontent. I just am. And using it, I think, is eliciting that same peace, that sanity, that, what did I say the definition of sanity is? Soundness of mind. It gives me soundness of mind. Um, there's a lot of there's a lot of power in those small choices that we make every day. And there's lots of books about it. Free will doesn't just apply to the big choices. It's also responsible free will is in those small decisions we make every day. And those really inevitably are the ones that create big change. Just like I was talking about earlier this week about um, grass grows really quickly and then we cut it, but a tree grows really slowly. And so those strong, long lasting changes in our life take more time. Um, and so that's where I think the small choices are. And and I think that's what really drives us to becoming the person that we want to be. Um, when we face, okay, going to college and we're trying to think of what are we going to major in? Who do I want to be when I grow up? Right? That decision about what I'm going to major in, I decided, this is a great example for me. I made the decision that I was going to be a math major because I wanted to work at NASA. I wanted to be a smart person when I grew up. And that choice to become a math major, that did not make me become a smart person. It didn't make me a astronaut or even the person that sits in the room with the computer focusing on just one small area of a space launch. I've never set foot in NASA. So that one big decision I made, albeit it's not a regret that I have, but that one big decision did not make me become who I am today. It was all the small decisions I made after that that were the deciding factor of whether I was going to become an astronaut or not. Um, I I repeatedly chose with my free will addiction. I chose fun. I chose parties rather than choosing to continue to back up that dream that I had. Um, so my choices did not align with the big picture of who I wanted to be. And that's back to the grass and the trees. It took a lot of time for me to become who I am today. And I'm proud of who I am today. I think that all of this, all of the poor choices and the irresponsible free will choices, still led me to where I am today. And I'm grateful for it because without it, there's a lot I wouldn't have here today. And, um, and I'm happy. I think the goal in life is to be relatively happy. I think I'm more than that. So, responsible free will, I think, is choosing how I'm going to live. Um, Not who I want to be, but how I want to live. And it's a practice that happens all day, every day, throughout the day. Choosing to pause is an opportunity. It's responsible free will. Um, that pause allows me to choose differently, to live with integrity, to live thoughtfully, and then ultimately to become who I want to be. But isn't that always in the future, who I want to be? I think it's just so much more, um, it's living in the present. It's so much more valuable to think about how I want to live today and trust that that is guiding me into who I want to be, one day at a time. So, great topic today. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, me. Um, Thanks for joining me today, and I will talk to you next time.